Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 8. Tu Bhagavata Lokayam Yadava Nitaramati Isam Vashyanta Navidu Ramina Ivodukam. Oh. Just wait, we'll just say it a few times. Tu Bhagavata Lokayam Yadava Nitaramati Isam Vashyanta Navidu Ramina Ivodukam. Tu Bhagavata Lokayam Yadava Nitaramati Isam Vashyanta Navidu Ramina Ivodukam. Tu Bhagavata Lokayam Yadava Nitaramati Isam Vashyanta Navidu Ramina Ivodukam. Dubhaga, unfortunate. Bhakta, certainly. Loka, universe. Ayam, this Yadava Yadu dynasty, Itaram, more specifically, Api also, ye, those, Shambhashataha, living together, na, did not, vidu, understand, harim, the personality of Godhead, minnaha, the fishes, eva, udupam, like the moon. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Srila Prabhupada Ki. This universe with all its planets are most unfortunate, and even more unfortunate are the members of the Yadu dynasty, because they could not identify Lord Hari as the personality of Godhead, any more than the fish could identify the moon. But Uddhava lamented for the unfortunate persons of the world who could not recognize Lord Sri Krishna in spite of seeing all his transcendental godly qualities. From the very beginning of his appearance within the prison bars of King Kamsa up to his Mushala Leela, although he exhibited his potencies as the personality of Godhead in the 6 opulences of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, the foolish persons of the world could not understand that he was the Supreme Lord. Foolish persons might have thought him an ordinary historical figure because they had no intimate touch with the Lord, but more unfortunate were the family members of the Lord, the members of the Yadu dynasty, who were always in company with the Lord, but were unable to recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uddhava lamented his own fortune. Also, because although he knew Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could not properly use the opportunity to render service, devotional service to the Lord. He regretted everyone's misfortune, including his own. The pure devotee of the Lord thinks himself most unfortunate. That is due to excessive love for the Lord, and in one of the transcendental perceptions of viraha, the suffering of separation. It is learned from the revealed scriptures that the moon was born from the milk ocean. There is a milk ocean in the upper planets, and there Lord Vishnu, who controls the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the super soul, resides as Shiradakshay Vishnu. Those who do not believe in the existence of the ocean of milk, because they have experience only of the salty water in the ocean, should know that the world is also called the go, which means the cow. The urine of the cow is salty, and according to Ayurvedic medicine, the cow's urine is very effective in treating patients suffering from liver trouble. Such patients may not have any experience of the cow's milk, because milk is never given to liver patients. But the liver patient may know that the cow has milk also, although he has never tasted it. Similarly, men who have experienced only of this tiny planet where the saltwater ocean exists may take information from the revealed scriptures that there is also an ocean of milk, although we have never seen it. From this ocean of milk, the moon was born. But the fish in the milk ocean could not recognize that the moon was not another fish and was different from them. The fish took the moon to be one of them and maybe something illuminating, but nothing more. The unfortunate persons do not recognize Lord Krishna are like fish. They take him to be one of them, although a little extraordinary in opulence, strength, etc. The Bhagavad Gita confirms such foolish persons to be most unfortunate. Avajanti mam buddha manushim tam ashrita. Om Adhyananandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshan Lalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Actually, Padmanochan, he couldn't come today. He asked me to just fill in for him, so I'm not really clued up on this verse, but I'll try and speak something. So Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita that, whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice and a predominant rise of religion, at that time he descends himself. So the Bhagavad Gita explains this, how the Supreme manifests himself on earth in his original transcendental form every 4,320,000,000 years. And of course he also appears at other times in his various expansions and incarnations. When humanity loses direction, forgets the ultimate purpose of life, becomes godless. So the Supreme Lord appears out of his own free will to help us get back on the right track, you could say. And he knows that without this transcendental knowledge, we cannot possibly get free from our material entanglement and achieve life's precious goal. So he's given us this Vedic literature, he sends his representatives, he appears himself in various incarnations. And sometimes, when we think about when Krishna appeared on the earth, some 5,000 years ago, everyone knew he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we learn from the Vedic literature that actually this was not the case. That not everyone, even though Krishna was there, and he was performing his pastimes in Vrindavan, then he went to Mathura, then he went to Dwarka, became king of the Yadus, not everyone knew that he was the Supreme Lord. And we learn from the Vedic literature and from the Vaishnavacharyas is because Krishna he reserves that right not to reveal himself to just anyone and everyone. And Prabhupada mentions this in many purports that, the real qualification for knowing Krishna is you have to become a devotee of Krishna. We see that with many envious personalities, even in the Yadu dynasty, Shishupal and many others, we were just reading Lord Balaram's appearance days with Rukmi. They were they didn't. And of course, not only were the Yadu dynasty people, members of the Yadu dynasty, very unfortunate, but as mentioned in this verse, many people of this world are unfortunate because they do not know actually who God is. I mean, if you walk down the street, or just go on your computer and ask people, who is God? You probably get an incredible number of answers. Some will tell you that there's no such thing as God. There's no such thing. Some may even say that, such and such a guru is God, or such and such a demigod is God. Actually, there was one man, in Melbourne Temple. Prabhupada was giving a lecture. And after the lecture, one Indian man, he put his hand up. And he said, Sai Baba, he's also God. Now, Sai Baba, if you don't know Sai Baba, he was one of Guru back in the 70s and 80s who claimed that he was an incarnation of Krishna. and all his followers believed that he's God. So he put his hand up. Sai Baba was also God. And devotees, it was like silence in the temple. You could hear a pin drop, waiting for Prabhupada's response. What's Prabhupada going to do? Is he going to really try and defeat him or smash him with philosophy? Or Prabhupada just sat back in his Vyasasana. He looked up at the deities. It's Radha Ballabha, isn't it, in Melbourne? Radha Ballabha? He looks up at Radha Ballabha and he goes, Krishna is so beautiful. When the pure devotee actually sees Krishna on the altar, he doesn't just see a marble form, but he actually sees Krishna on the altar. Krishna reveals himself to the pure devotee. He sees Krishna on the altar, playing his flute, and he sees him in his original transcendental form. Prabhupada looked up at Krishna and he said, Krishna is so beautiful. He said, you can take Sai Baba, we'll take Krishna. Then he looked up again at the deity and he said, Chris, he said, Krishna is so beautiful. He said, you take Sai Baba, we'll take Krishna. Of course, some people even say we're all God. It's it's a very democratic idea that we can all be God. We can all be the Supreme enjoyers. That I am God, you are God. There's even a band. They play at they played at the Blues Festival, and they also played some of the festivals we do, with the catering. And the band's name is You Are Me. And it's a very democratic idea, that we can all be God together. I am you, you are me. And of course, many believe that, God is just this old man that just lives in the clouds. Because, creation's been around for so many, you could say, geological microseconds, they call it. Millions and millions and millions and millions of years. That God, because if he's a creator, he must be really getting on in years. And they depict him, with the long grey beard. He has a little book there, writing down all the bad things you do. And of course, some people think that, God is just this whole creation. That when God created this world, he just transformed himself into everything. And everything, everywhere you look, is God. The tree, the clouds, the mountains, the ocean. Of course, we understand that's all part of Krishna's energy. But he simultaneously has a personality. And so some people believe that God is just some, Brahman, the bright white light. And some believe that God is just some remote functionary, that he just appeared sometime in history, created everything, and then just disappeared, never to be seen again. And of course, some people believe that God is just some mythological deity, just some mythological deity created in the human mind by weak people who need to worship some superior being. So, Krishna declares in the Bhagavad Gita, that out of that, even thousands of men who may endeavour for perfection, of those who have actually achieved perfection, hardly anyone knows him in truth. It means that even, big scholars, yogis, philosophers, religionists, they're bewildered. They cannot really understand genuinely who God is, or how they're eternally connected to him, or what it means to be truly devoted to sincerely loving him and serving him, and what it really means to really surrender to him, which is, you could say, the highest religious principle. And probably many of us have had that experience. Before we met the Hare Krishna devotees, some people have been brought up in this, some of the devotees have been brought up in this movement, so, even they're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam class even in their mother's womb. And, they grow up and, it's like, even from the very young age, they're just like we hear about Maharaj Pariksit and they're playing with Krishna dolls and they're coming to the temple. It's amazing, when I remember when Mukunda Maharaj wasn't feeling too good actually, and he had some illness, and so they brought all the Guru Kulis up to chant. We had a chant session for him in the temple, and one day they brought all the little Guru Kulis kids up, just the primary school kids, the really young ones. Some are only like 2 or 3, 4. Oh no, they're about 4 or 5 years old, I think. Yeah. And I was leading the chant, And these little kids, they were chanting from their hearts. Like, you just wouldn't believe just the devotional fervour that was just coming out of this. It was amazing. Actually, it's one Gurukul master from Vrindavan. He was giving a class here, and he was telling us, he was saying that actually how sometimes, us devotees, who joined later in life, we dress very nicely, we have the nice shaven head and the tilak, and we seem very pucker, but sometimes the Krishna consciousness doesn't go very deep. And sometimes you see the Gurukulis, and they're not, some of them, especially as they reach teenage years, they're dressing in the jeans, the torn jeans and the t-shirt, and they're not looking like very devotional, but actually their Krishna consciousness, because they've been brought up in Krishna consciousness, goes very deep, actually, very deep. And we have that experience when they come here, do their bhajans on the festival days, it's very ecstatic. So the reality is you cannot possibly see the Supreme Lord with your material eyes or understand him as he is by mental speculation, by mundane scholarship, by material intelligence. Therefore the bhakti scriptures, they advise us, if you really want to know the Supreme, you have to hear from a self-realized person who know the Supreme perfectly. They can teach you the process by which you can purify your consciousness and become very dear to the Supreme Lord. Then the Supreme Lord, he'll reveal himself to you. As there's that saying, don't try and see God, but act in such a way that he'll see you. So we see in these Vedic literatures, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, which have been passed down through the ages to the present day by a bona fide chain of spiritual masters, we find many incredible, detailed descriptions of the Supreme Lord. His personal form, his features, his pastimes, his qualities, his personality, his eternal abode, his eternal associates. So the Vedas, they inform us that the Supreme Lord is extremely beautiful, has an extremely beautiful form, and his name is Krishna. And yes, and as I was saying, before we become devotees, and most of us didn't really have much of an idea about God or who he was. Some of us may have thought that, we are all God. Especially in the 80s, and it was a very popular philosophy, and I kind of was thinking that. I think, I'm God, but it didn't really make much sense. I'm God. But a lot of people, believe that philosophy. And some people may have, had so many different ideas about who God was, or, a very vague picture. But since when we met the Hare Krishna devotees, then we started hearing about God. And, who would have thought? Who would have thought that God is this 10-year-old cowherd boy in Vrindavan? He's herding. Sometimes we think, that even when we hear about Krishna, we think that how can he be the same person that systematically conducting all the affairs of both spiritual and material, trillions of spiritual and material universes, without a flaw, simply by his all-pervasive energies. It's just by his desire, trillions of universes are just systematically running in perfect symmetry. And it's just, as I said, not even a blade of grass moves without his will. So it's like, and then you see Krishna, he's the cowherd boy playing in Vrindavan. It's like, you think, is it the same person? But when you read the scriptures, yes, it is. And he is Krishna is that personal, loving, lovable aspect of the Supreme Lord. And he is just offering his love to each and every one of us so intimately, so completely, so perfectly, that each and every one of us will feel that we are his most beloved. And the name Krishna, it means the all-attractive one. He has the potency to attract the mind, to attract the heart, to attract the senses of every conscious living entity. And the name Krishna, it's the original, supreme, most powerful name of God. Krishna has unlimited names because he has unlimited qualities, he has so many pastimes, and each pastime he has a name according to that pastime. He has so many different relationships with his different devotees. It's like the name Parthasarathi, the charioteer of Arjuna. He has so many different names according to his relationships with his devotees. But this name Krishna, it's the original, supreme, most powerful name of Krishna. It expresses the sum total of his infinite qualities and characteristics. And, he is so transcendentally beautiful and attractive that it is said that every feature of his transcendental form is likened to a tidal wave of just luscious splendor that just inundates the devotee's senses and just drenches their hearts with unlimited satisfaction. That's a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So yes, it's we see that, the devotees, just like the gopis, they were cursing Lord Brahma for giving them eyelids, because just by their momentarily blinking, they weren't able to see Krishna's transcendental form. That was so attractive. So it is said, Krishna's beautifully decorated body, it creates this, you could say, a daily festival for the eyes. And everything about Krishna is just simply just wonderful and adorable. And of course Krishna has his own planet, Goloka Vrindavan, where we find this continuous festival of joy. And this is where Krishna just eternally resides. And we see Krishna, he appears in different times. Sometimes we see baby Krishna, and then later on we see Krishna in Dwarka, and he's like, he has like 10 wives, he has all these grandchildren, but so Krishna, he manifests different forms, different times to facilitate the different relationships and rasas and that he has with different devotees. Just like some people have this paternal loving relationship with Krishna, so they want to love Krishna as a baby. It's amazing actually when you do a bit of congregational preaching amongst the Indian community, and you see most Indian families have a little baby Krishna on the altar. and they kind of had this real paternal relationship with Krishna. They always see him as the baby, they want to feed him. So Krishna, to facilitate, he appears in different ages, but his eternal form in the spiritual world is that of a 7 to 10-year-old boy. And we know his complexion is the colour of a sapphire or blue lotus flower. I don't think you see any blue lotus flowers around in Australia, but they say they grow high up in the Himalayas, somewhere way up in those lakes. And he wears beautiful yellow silken garments, garlands of fragrant forest flowers, beautiful crown and jewellery, has long black curling hair, and he plays exquisite melodies on his flute which captivate the hearts of his pure devotees. And so, we have all these incredible detailed descriptions about Krishna. And, it is said that, he's just like an ocean of nectarine handsomeness. and his face just shines like the moon, and his gentle smile is even sweeter still. Of course, another name for Krishna is Bhagavan. You may have heard this name. It means the source of all excellences. And the Vedas, they describe these excellences. And Prabhupada talks about this, if you find someone in the world who's very beautiful, just like these famous movie stars, they're just like huge. They got so popular. You see them, they're all on the internet, and they're I heard that even in India, they have temples. They have temples, and they have deities made of their favorite movie stars. They're actually practically worshipable. Even I think in India, even some of the top cricketers, there's some guy that can hit a ball. He's good at hitting the ball around the field. They worship that guy. And someone very beautiful, especially these movie stars, people just they're very popular. So, but Krishna, he has unlimited beauty. Unlimited. And it's always increasing. Actually, it's said that Krishna's beauty, it increases when he's associated, according to the love of his devotees. And because Srimati Radharani's love is the greatest, in her presence, his beauty reaches its peak. And he's known as Madan Mohan. And he has unlimited strength. Even you see, someone's really strong. People really, they really respect these people. They really worship them, They're really strong, these famous fighters and, muscle builders and this and that. Now Krishna, who can be more powerful than Krishna? Like I said, he's just simultaneously conducting all the affairs of trillions of universes. And of course, even though he doesn't play as God in Vrindavan, sometimes he proves that he is God by lifting this huge mountain, Govardhan Hill, on his little finger for 7 days. Actually, it is said, that when he lifted that hill, after he put the hill down, some of the cowherd men got together and they said, because, Krishna, he covers his pure devotees with his yoga maya potency, so they don't even know he is God. But sometimes he completely bewilders them by proving he is God. And so the cowherd men were talking, they were saying, Krishna's lifted this huge mountain on his hill, maybe he is God. Maybe he is. But then they thought, no, he can't be God. Because we've seen that Krishna, he steals butter. He lies. He plays tricks on people. He talks in broken language. He can't be God. In this way, that even though it more or less proves that he is God, they don't want to know about it. They just want to be able to love Krishna in complete familiarity and treat him as their dearest son or their friend or their lover, handsome boyfriend, in complete familiarity. And of course that gives Krishna the greatest pleasure, just to associate with his pure devotees in this way. Of course, Krishna has complete wealth. Even if someone's very wealthy in this world, like the Rockefellers or the, some of the really wealthiest people in the world. Who's the wealthiest people in the world? Musk. Is it Musk? Elon Musk? Multi-billionaires, And you see them on all the pages of the magazines and on the internet and everywhere, right? And Bill Gates and all these people, they have... Of course, we don't even really see the really wealthy people in the world. The families that actually hold all the wealth of this world. You don't even really see them in the media. But if someone's very wealthy, they're very famous, very attractive. But Krishna, he's so wealthy. Actually, everything in creation belongs to him. even our, we feel that, that this is my house, this is my car, this is mine, this is mine, but actually everything belongs to Krishna. Even our very bodies belong to Krishna, and therefore we have to use them in his service. And Krishna's unlimitedly famous. I mean, in the world today, not everyone knows about Krishna, but the amount of people that live on this world is just a very minor. When you think about the whole creation, even in this particular universe, we've got 14 planetary systems. And in all these other universes, they're all worshipping Krishna. They all recognize Krishna as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's completely famous. It's only a few people on this planet who don't know about him. So he is incredibly famous, and his fame is just unlimited, and this goes right beyond this universe to the spiritual world. Sometimes do people think, this Hare Krishna movement, they're just a minority group. There's hardly any devotees there, in this world, just a very minority group. But actually, we're not part of the minority. We're part of the majority. Like I said, beyond this universe is millions and billions of universes, and they're all devoted. We're actually, we're part of the majority. And the people that are not devotees, they're just an insignificant few. Of course, ultimately everyone's a devotee of Krishna, even if they don't realize it. And Krishna has unlimited independence or renunciation. I mean, Krishna can just do anything he likes. He's not restricted by any particular material nature or energy or force or person, or even when it comes to religious principles or social etiquette. Krishna just goes beyond it all. He just can do anything he likes. He's completely independent. So he possesses these excellences to an infinite degree. So these Vedic literatures, they make the Supreme Lord accessible to us, and by telling us everything about him. And ultimately, he'll reveal himself to us according to our aspirations. As I was saying the other day, in reality, what we're really hankering for in our hearts is a perfect loving relationship. And it's not, actually in the world today, it's love has developed a very vague meaning. Actually, the surveys show that so many people in the world can honestly say they don't even know what love is, or they've never experienced being truly loved. And most people have no idea what love is. It's incredible. It's just, there's even these people, there's even this phenomena now of people that become objectarians. Yeah. Where people, and there was a whole documentary on it actually, I think on 60 Minutes or something on TV, where people are falling in love with objects. They believe they're in love. Just like there was one girl, she believed she was in love with this wall, a brick wall. And she used to go just down the road from her, and she lived in this park, and she'd sit next to this wall. She'd take her food down there, and she felt, the wall will never let me down. She suffered this wall, And of course the classic example is this guy, they interviewed this guy, he had this car, the guy with the car, He's so much in love with his car. He sleeps in the car sometimes. He said when the car's running, he feels it singing to him. And he said, and he can never get married. He can never get married because he feels it would come between him and his car. It's like, and there's we were talking about it down at the restaurant one day, and one of the girls that's working there, she's a Guru Kuli, she said, I think I might be an objectarian, I said, why? She said, I think I'm in love with my mobile phone. She said, I sleep with it under my pillow. It's like... So, ultimate reality, what we're really hankering for in our heart is a perfect loving relationship. It means we're hankering for Krishna, because only Krishna can accommodate everyone's loving endeavours perfectly. And he'll always reciprocate perfectly our love. And every single person, he can accommodate everyone's love. Trillions and trillions and trillions of devotees. And whatever we offer to Krishna, whatever little bit of service, whatever little bit of devotion, even though it may be, doesn't matter how big it is or how small it is, Krishna will accept that and he'll reciprocate with us. And it's only then that our loving propensity will be naturally fully satisfied. And of course, love is something we understand because we share it with one another. And this will help us to understand our personal relationship with Krishna, where we are factually, it is said that we were factually made in his image. We have a body, 2 arms, 2 legs, a face. Just like Krishna, we were factually made in his image, so we can completely fall in love with him. Another name of Krishna is Atmarama. It means he is always completely self-satisfied. He doesn't need anything from anyone. But still, we understand that he eternally hankers. He longs for our love and devotion. It's because through our love and devotion that Krishna experiences the greatest happiness, the greatest bliss, the greatest satisfaction. And the more we serve him sincerely, the more he appreciates our service. And the more he rewards us. Because the more he appreciates our service, the more spiritually realized we become, the more happy and satisfied we become, the more we develop that inner peace, that inner happiness, and the more we're able to enter into a very personal relationship with Krishna and experience his eternal friendship. So in our bhakti school we learn that to truly love the Supreme Lord it's not just something to be imagined. It's not mere fantasy or just some sentimentality, but actually it's a great art and a great science. Therefore we need guidance and education and also inspiration to take up the path seriously. So, Krishna advises us we have to submissively approach a bona fide spiritual master who is specifically empowered by the Supreme Lord to bless us with genuine spiritual understanding. The Vedic scriptures, they tell us that such a guru he's very rare and a very great soul. And only those who are very fortunate can actually find such a guru and realize the truth. So some people say, well, what's the qualification? What makes a guru bona fide? And we see in the Vedic scriptures tell us that a bona fide guru is someone who's always canvassing on his behalf. He's always canvassing on his behalf for everyone to become devoted to Krishna. For everyone to try and understand and try and learn to love Krishna. He'll never say that he is Krishna or that you can become Krishna. But he's always canvassing everyone to try and become a devotee of Krishna, to love Krishna, to try and serve Krishna, surrender to Krishna, follow his instructions. So that's why it's said, it's only by the mercy of Krishna one gets a bona fide guru, and it's by the mercy of the bona fide guru that one can re-establish one's loving relationship with Krishna and understand who Krishna is, and ultimately to return back to the spiritual world at the end of one's life. No, I'll just finish there, but does anyone have any questions I'd like to ask? I'd like to say anything about it. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki